And just pronounce Francis, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Make sure I don't botch that. I've done that too many times in podcasts before. And when you can't deal with a lot of people's names, it gets kind of crazy. But thank you. Thank you so much, first off, for being flexible with me. I'm streaming here, folks, from a hotel in Texas. We're on the road. And I've got Katie with me here, and super grateful for you making the time to do this. As a quick way to get started, share a quick 60-second synopsis, background. Give us a little brag about what led you to where you're at in your career today.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. Thank you so much for having me and for the time today. So Katie Francis, I'm the Senior Director of Marketing and Analytics at the Northridge Group. I have been with the Northridge Group for more than 10 years. I actually started as a college intern, believe it or not, all throughout college. And then I started full-time right after I graduated. And so I have just had an incredible ride. It's an incredibly enriching experience to be part of a company that is continuing to evolve and really help clients in many areas: customer experience, business transformation, digital marketing, the list kind of goes on. So my background is actually in journalism, but I have quickly found that writing and verbal communication can be skills that you can leverage anywhere in any industry. And so I've been grateful for the time that I've been supporting the Northridge Group and its clients.
I think they call it marketing, right?
Marketing, that's right, exactly. So at Northridge, so in my current role, I've been designing and developing digital marketing solutions for the Northridge Group and our clients. And so I've tried to leverage my experience and skill set by assisting clients really kind of up their digital presence to improve brand awareness and increase new client acquisition. And I think it's really helped that I could leverage both my data analytics and journalism backgrounds. It really kind of positions me to combine metrics and compelling content to help businesses kind of take their digital marketing to the next level to really drive results. So I'm incredibly passionate about it. We've had success at Northridge, and bringing that to clients is just something that I'm incredibly humbled by because it is so rewarding.
Yeah. Is that so? You started right out of college. How did you get your foot in the door at the company to begin with?
Yeah, networking, really networking. And that's huge, right? So I worked my network and they gave me an opportunity. And like I said, I've worked in almost every department within Northridge. So sales, pre-sales, consulting, data analytics, in the customer experience as well. And then I landed in the digital marketing position. And like I said, I in each of those positions, I have taken certain things, right, and applied them. And it's just kind of been this snowball effect where you just keep adding. And it makes for a very enriching experience because you're able to see a broad view, not only of what Northridge provides clients, but what clients are struggling with and the business issues that they are trying to tackle on a day-to-day basis, and trying to figure out different solutions for them that work within their organization, their environment, their budget, their timeline. And that has really, I think, helped us not only market smarter and more effectively to our clients, but also in turn helping us provide digital marketing consulting to our end users, because we really focus everything we do on the customer, right, on the client. And so having that really broad experience and exposure has helped us tremendously.
Yeah, a lot of companies that do some sort of marketing consulting strategy for other companies teach a lot of methods that they themselves don't even implement. And it's kind of like the cobbler's kids don't have shoes, right?
Right.
How have you kind of balanced, deliverables for your clients and also what it is that you do for yourselves?
Yeah, it's been an evolution, right? So I think, when we started, Connor, it was just me in the marketing department at Northridge. And then I hired my colleague. And so we had to figure out quickly how to maximize every minute we spent on digital marketing. Right. And so, and I can get into a little bit of that too, on how you leverage, technology really to maximize your efforts. But it is definitely a balance of trying to keep the train on the tracks, from delivering for your clients and maximizing the value that they can get out of your services, but also continuing to be practitioners and continual learners in the craft that you are helping them with, because that's the only way you're going to actually provide value, right? Is that if you are on the bleeding edge of the latest technologies, the best practices in the industry. And I feel like technology really changes that, right? And so it changes so quickly. And so you really need to be tapped into that. But it's definitely a balance of how you can continue to deliver for your clients, but also continue to remain operationally effective within your own business.
Be your own best client,
right?
So to say. Most people really struggle with that, and you guys have done a good job at pulling that off. And I mean, some of the metrics that we had talked about, like something along, what was it? How to get 40% return. What were we touching on when we were talking the other day?
Yeah. So
On a
right. So
yeah, just remind me on that.
Yeah. So, we've been at this working on our Northridge's digital marketing practice for a few years now. And it does take time, but like I said, it's something that we work on every single day. And so actually 40% of Northridge's new clients originate from digital lead sources. And so, what I would really like to share is how other businesses can really achieve the same. Like I mentioned, we didn't have a robust marketing team when we started. We were a small but mighty.
Not to cut you off, what's the 60%? Just walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so 60%, so we're a consulting firm. And so the other 60% really came from networking, existing clients, existing relationships that we had. And follow-on engagements, right? So existing clients, referrals, networking, that kind of made up the other 60% of that pie. But 40% was from new logos from digital lead sources.
Yeah, that's super important. Especially right now, so many people are 80% reliant on in-person networking, trade shows, conferences, you name it. And you've been able to almost pull in half of your lead sources. So we should definitely dive into that a little bit. One thing you did mention is a lot of your clients are struggling. A lot of businesses are struggling. I mean, there's so many moving parts, and especially in marketing, there's so much noise out there. What are the biggest things that you're hearing from your end? What are your clients struggling with the most, do you feel like?
Yeah, so I think lately, because the impact of COVID-19 really forced many businesses to digitally transform almost overnight. And so the majority, I would think, of our clients are struggling with how to acquire new customers in this almost exclusive digital environment. So we've helped clients assess their current digital marketing efforts by focusing really on the fundamentals and getting the fundamentals done right, and giving them some very targeted recommendations to either remediate or optimize their online presence. So what I mean fundamentals, it's focusing on your website performance, your search engine optimization, your social media management, and what I would consider the fourth fundamental of digital marketing is your content or your email marketing. There are many levers you can pull in digital marketing, but those, in our experience, are the basics. And once you really focus on those, you can make some high impact, low effort improvements to really get clients in the door and to optimize your brand equity in the online marketplace. And so lately what we've been doing is we want to try to maximize the support we're providing, especially small to medium-sized businesses, given the impacts of COVID. And so we've offered some free assessments of their digital strategies to really help them identify where there are some areas of opportunity for them to improve. And of course, Connor, I'm happy to extend that offer to anyone listening now. The other challenge that we're seeing with clients is in the vendor management space. So because they don't have time or expertise in-house to manage their digital presence, which is now critical in this pandemic, they've outsourced some or all of that marketing to third-party vendors. But the challenge is they don't know if they're getting the best ROI. And so we've helped clients by serving as an intermediary for the business owner or stakeholder with their vendors. And so, the best advice here I can give clients who outsource is to manage them through data. And really, that's true of any outsourced engagement, is you have to manage them through data. And there's a saying in marketing that's marketing without data is like driving with your eyes closed. Data is really the best and most reliable way to hold your vendors accountable for performance. And so that's really one of the benefits of digital marketing, and that has helped us not only digitally market our services, but helped our clients, right? As opposed to using traditional offline marketing, which is pretty difficult to measure. Having a digital marketing presence really means you're able to measure it very easily. So my best advice is to make sure you have access to your analytics, monitor basic KPIs, and ensure your vendor is meeting expectations. Data really is the single source of truth here when doing that.
Well, it's really challenging too, because how do you always track someone who opted into your list a couple weeks ago and then they connected with you on LinkedIn but didn't say anything, and maybe
Right.
they're part of the numbers, and then they saw some posts and then they opted in somewhere else. It's so, there's so much noise out there. So I think having a balance of both is like really what people need, because it's almost like data and gut instinct at the same time. But being data driven is so important. So if you were like starting from scratch, most companies have an email list, and I don't know if I would consider that. I guess it's digital. That'd be digital marketing.
Yes.
Next to like email lists, between search, SEM, and social media, what channel are you, like if someone was starting entirely brand new, building their digital presence, what channel would you start with and focus on? Or would you try to go to all of them at once?
Yeah, I think it depends on what the goal is, right? If your goal is to increase your brand, right, and quickly, say you have no problem getting clients, which actually is the case with some businesses, right? They have a very loyal following. It's a referral-based business, and maybe they are a small shop or they're a solopreneur, and really they don't have the capacity to take on more clients, nor do they want to at that time, but they want to be actively engaging with their followers. And so we would focus on, okay, how do you really optimize your social media strategy? So it really depends on your end goal. If it's new client acquisition, I would really take a look at how you are being found, and if you are being found organically. And I know that there's, a kind of a sibling rivalry between SEO and paid search, right? And paid search will give you some pretty quick wins, I would say. It's going to cost you, especially depending on your industry, what the cost per click is on some of those high value keywords. So it might help you as a quick fix, but really I would spend the time, at least in parallel, to focus on your search engine optimization and making sure that you have H1 headers, and that you have unique and populated meta descriptions. That will help you get found, right, on search engines, because right now, especially, again, digital and Google, let's just say Google is the customer's #1 channel of choice right now. It's where they're going to go. Whether it's a B2C or a B2B environment, customers are going online. And if you're not on page one, we need to work to get you there. A lot of clients will be found, on search, but it's only for branded keywords, right? So like you have to have like the name of their company in the title in order for them to get pulled up on, the first page of Google. So what we would focus on is H1s, meta descriptions, making sure you have a nice balance of branded keywords and non-branded keywords to make sure that, you are being found, where people are looking and where your customers are trying to find, vendors or, vendors or businesses, right, to buy from. You need to be found. And so I would focus on your SEO.
Yeah. Yeah. And then eventually building all of it towards that kind of omnipresent, being on all channels, organic,
Absolutely.
paid. Yeah.
You're
You
exactly
really have
right.
to. Yeah.
You have to have a holistic approach. I would, try to find time to work on all, right? A little bit of optimization on all, but, we have clients who have beautiful websites. I mean, they're easy to navigate. They have engaging content. It's diverse. You have some multimedia, but if no one is finding it, if no one is visiting your website, it's kind of all for naught, right? So you have to have, again, that balance, because when they do get to your website, you want it to be, that easy to navigate, a very elegant user experience. Self-service is important, right? So it's like you have the piece parts, but you just kind of have to put them together now.
Yeah. I think with a lot of everything happening right now, companies are looking for that much more direct impact, getting people into their pipeline quicker, that are going to buy quicker. And the longer term branding stuff may, from what I'm experiencing, might be pushed to the back burner a tiny bit in some scenarios. So if your directive is search on that, and you're a huge advocate of search, what are some tools that you recommend, or resources that you really like to leverage to maximize the impact of your search and your client's search?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Connor, because I'm sure people are sitting there like, yeah, I don't have time in the day to like go and focus on SEO, right? I don't have 3 hours. I'm going to share with you an anecdote, and then I'm going to tell you some digital tools to help you really like maximize your impact. So
I've got my pen and paper.
Okay, perfect. So I don't have a lot of time, like free, quote unquote, free time to be spending on optimization. So I had a rare Friday afternoon where I had 1 or 2 hours to dedicate to it. And I went to one of our most trafficked blogs and figured out, okay, let's just look at this blog that gets a lot of traffic on it. How can we make this an even better or optimized, lead magnet, so to speak? And so there's no way I knew on the keywords that I had on my blog that I would rank on, page 1, right? There was just too much competition. But people often forget that there's so many other SERP features. And what I mean by SERP features, I'll give you an example, is like when you ask, a question in Google, like how old is the queen, right? It'll come up with an answer box, right? That's what an example of a SERP feature is. So there are other ways that you can have your page be seen, even if you can't rank on number 1 for that keyword. And so the blog I'm talking about it's on call calibration. And so that relates to one of our service offerings in quality monitoring. And so I just tweaked the content a little bit to say, what is call calibration? Call calibration is, and then we went on to explain the definition, thinking, okay, maybe I can show up as an answer box, eventually, right? So literally I spent maybe an hour through the research and, editing content a little bit. Within 48 hours, we were the answer box on Google, when someone typed in what is call calibration. So again, you can think outside the box a little bit, right? On, okay, where do I maximize my efforts here? And again, we have Google Analytics. Anyone can hook their website up to Google Analytics. It doesn't cost you anything. I figured out, okay, this is a highly trafficked, web page. How do I maximize it even more and get some organic traffic on it? So that was very rewarding because it took me 1 hour and we, were at the top of Google in 48 hours.
Lifted that much more. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
a lot of marketers, it's like in some cases more is more, but some of the best marketers that I've seen and most successful like yourself have made, just taken a step back, like looked at the bigger picture, did some research, like educated themselves a little bit further and made one little tweak. And then all of a sudden it makes a huge shift. And it's just that one
Right.
thing,
Right. Exactly right. And so you don't need a huge team. You don't need several hours. It's just figuring out, okay, how do I spend just a little bit of time to make the biggest impact? So that was just a quick story, but with the proliferation of digital technology out there, we leverage a lot of digital tools, and most of them are free. So, for example, I downloaded the free Mozbar plugin many years ago on my Chrome browser, and I still have it there, so that I could monitor link metrics and site analytics, and basically do SEO on the go, and also monitor my competitors' websites. So Mozbar plugin is a great tool. Another example is we added the free version of Hotjar on our website, and that is a behavior analytics and user feedback tool. So it basically gives you a heat map of where your users are clicking on your website so that you're able to improve your site's user experience and performance and conversion rates. Another great tool. We also leverage a social media management tool that helps us manage and publish posts on all of our company's profiles, through a single dashboard. And so companies like Hootsuite or Sprout Social, are great tools to look
You like
into that.
Hootsuite?
Yeah, I do like Hootsuite. Yeah, we've
Okay.
had really good success
Yeah.
on it. Um,
Yeah. Are
and
you
probably
feeding content? Like, are you doing stuff through Feedly, or are you putting most of your own custom content into it?
So we use different approaches for different platforms. So
Mhm.
on LinkedIn, it's our own content. And on Twitter, we leverage our own and third party, credible research sites. So like HBR, Fast Company Inc., so we do a combination. Depending on the platform. But I would say,
Yeah.
Connor, one of the biggest ones is Google Analytics. And I know I've mentioned it a few times, but many of our clients are not hooked up with Google Analytics. Their site isn't, linked. And that is chock full of valuable insights that can give you data on how your website is performing and helping you inform decisions. And it goes back to that whole point about data, right? Like having a data-driven approach to marketing is critical. And having Google Analytics, even if you have just the free version, which is very powerful, can give you a lot of great insight to help you get started.
So Google Analytics, awesome. Yeah, those are some
Mm-hmm.
great tool recommendations. What are some other methods or any other tips that you'd recommend for business development leaders, marketers who have a small team that are trying to create a big impact?
Yeah, so I would say, again, leveraging digital tools that will not only help you maximize your and your team's capacity, but it'll produce valuable data that you can use to make timely enhancements to your digital presence is critical, right? Like I think that's probably number one, because it'll allow you to be more intelligent and productive with your marketing efforts. I would also say, like, play to your strengths, right? Like I don't have a very big team, but I know what each of them is really good at. And while they're trained literally in every lever that we pull for marketing, there are some that, really have expertise and an interest and a passion for one in particular or two in particular. And I let them take the lead on those, right? So it's figuring out, okay, how do we use digital tools and data to make better, more informed decisions? And if you do have multiple people on your team, it's how do we maximize our impact by playing to our strengths? And if you are a solopreneur or you don't have, a big team, the gig economy is so huge right now, especially, with the pandemic. There are folks who are incredible writers who know how to do, paid per click, who are experts at search optimization. And if you just give them a few hours, outsource it a little bit, give them a few hours, that's another way to kind of free you up, but also let your, digital marketing continue to have an impact and putting it in the hands of some experts. So that's huge. And then the other thing I would say is preparation, right? Like if you can, spend a little time thinking about content and putting together a content calendar, so that you're really thoughtful about what topics you're campaigning, or how to make sure that you are linking your strategic objectives of your firm with your content that you're marketing. And so developing content calendars, and throughout the year, of course, things will change and you'll have to refocus, but planning is critical. And if you can spend just a little bit of time up front thinking about how to best organize some of your digital marketing, that will go a long way, I would say.
I think those are great. Well, Katie, thank you so much for mentoring us through some of those strategies today. And for people to get more, learn more, how can they find you, follow you, get into contact with you?
Yeah. Oh, I would love to hear from folks. I'd love to hear your feedback as well. So my company's website, www.northridgegroup.com. You'll find me on the team page. And my contact information is katie.francis, Francis, katie.francis@northridgegroup.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. And I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for your time, and the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Super
Awesome.
grateful to have you. Those of you listening, do not forget, make sure you go subscribe right away wherever you're tuning in. Leave a review, always helpful. And we'll